Some men just get to trust and ejaculate, and they know that they haven't reached orgasm. I tell women, you have to fight for your orgasm. Because as a matter of fact, no man can get you to that point. You have a responsibility for your pleasure.
Welcome to another episode of the Family Life Podcast. My name is Fejiro Adaka, but of course you can call me MrzSparkles. Here on this podcast, we tackle real life issues that transforms you, your relationship, and your family life. As you can already tell, we have an exciting conversation today, and I cannot wait to dive in. I'm going to be bringing our panelist on in the next few seconds. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Today we have an interesting conversation. Help, my spouse is not having sex with me. I'm not going to be discussing this alone. I have here with me Deji, Sowunmi. Deji, you're welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Amaka. Good morning.
How are you feeling today?
Awesome. I feel elated, excited, and thrilled to be here. Thank you very much.
Great.
You?
I'm great. Thank you.
Beautiful.
And then to my right, I have Kemi. Tony-Akinwunmi. You're welcome to join us today, Kemi.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So everybody's waiting. I mean, this topic this topic is one conversation that many people don't talk about, but I feel like couples struggle with it. So I'm going to be talking to you for a second. Just tell us, Deji, how often should married couples have sex?
Well, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and say it has to do with the couple themselves. Let me take this angle from a little bit of science. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins are expunged from the body when we have sex. That is the hormones that get us high, so to speak. So it can last in the body for 72 hours if done. So I would say if you want to stay in cloud nine entirely in your relationship, have sex 3 times a week, or probably 4 times a week if you can afford it. But I would say it's really about the couple, what feels good to them. They communicate. I think one of the issues that we can say people don't have sex is it used to be a taboo when we are younger. So it gets very difficult to speak about, especially with the women.
Yeah.
The men are still allowed some kind of sexual liberties, but from the virtuous and chaste women.
Yeah.
And they're always bringing up our girls to be wives, not to be persons. Really. So we have that stigma. So it might be difficult for them to discuss it. But I would say a discussion and consent is the first thing. But 3 times a week, if you can do that, that's good enough for me.
3 to 4 times a week.
If you can.
Like, wow.
If you can.
Yeah.
So people do have time for sex is relative to the person.
Right. It's actually individualized.
Some
I
people
agree
are
with
going
you.
to go ahead and have sex for 3 hours. Some are going to go ahead and have sex
What?
for,
Did you just say 3 hours?
for 3 minutes.
Okay.
But on both ends, it can be intensely satisfying. That's why I said consent. Consent, because it has to be good for both of them. It has to satisfy both of them. If it doesn't, then it becomes a problem.
Right.
I feel like I like to hear your perspective, Kemi, because this 3 times a week for some people is like, are you joking? I mean, I met a guy once who said once a month is okay for him.
Yeah.
So how, I mean, anyway, let me hear your thoughts first. Kemi, what do you think?
So I kind of agree with Deji because sex is actually individualized. We can't actually have a normal time for every married couple. But studies actually says that averagely most couples have sex once a week. So you are doing about 52 times in a week.
Yeah.
So if your spouse is not having sex with you, how many times do you have sex in a month? How many times do you have sex in a year? But normally, a healthy relationship, you should have at least not less than 30 times
In a year?
in a year. If you're having less than 10 times of sexual relationship with your partner, then we can say you are having, a sexless marriage. But normally, 52 times a year is a good
One
is a
every
good
week.
one, once a week.
Like
because there are
medication.
several factors that may not allow many couples to have sex as regular as they want to. And I think top on that list is stress. Different type of stress, psychological stress, socioeconomic factors. You are raising younger children. You have a very high demanding job. You live maybe far away from home where you live. You have aged parents. You have money issue. You have health challenge. So there are several things that could actually limit a couple. However, there's so much desire to have sex, but the reality is that they may not be able to have frequent sex. But it's possible that at least, no matter how bad it gets, once or twice a week is fair. But then again, like Deji earlier said, it is personalized. Some relationship, a couple will tell you, we only have sex once a month, and they actually have a very satisfying relationship.
And they're happy with it.
And they're happy because having frequent sex doesn't equate a satisfying marriage. You can be having sex every day and the relationship is not healthy. You are not really happy. So you are just there. The sex is more like a duty. Let's just get by. Let me just have an expulsion. Let somebody release. Let somebody feel better. But how healthy, how beautiful, how satisfying is the relationship? That's also actually a major part that we need to look at in looking at a holistic, relationship, and not just focusing on the sex, because sex can be consistent, but someone is not happy.
That's so good. As you were speaking, something came to mind. So how long should this sexual process involvement, how long should it last? Because I hear people say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm like, oh God, waiting to happen for that place.
There are moments you will do 30 minutes. There are sometimes you will do an hour.
So what are they?
And there are times you will do
ongoing
2 minutes.
In that 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Because I feel like people just hear these things and they pick it and they run with it. They have no idea the details. Somebody hears another person say, we have sex for 10 minutes, and then you go to your partner, begin to say, oh, you're not lasting long. Meanwhile, maybe that 10 minutes involved other things apart from penetration. So I want us to shed light a bit. How long should sex last? And then what does it really involve in the time that's,
So I would go back to study and science. Okay. So study says that averagely a man will trust between 4 to 6 minutes. And that's a good sex.
For a man?
For a man.
Okay.
Thrusting, penetrative sex should last between 4 to 6 minutes. Okay. So, but would that happen for all men? No. There are some men who will do 2 minutes and it would also be satisfying for their partner. Right? And there are some who actually have the strength, the stamina, the energy, the hormone to go longer. So when you say what happens in that time frame, so conversation happens, foreplay happens, intimacy happens, touching happens, kissing, caressing, stimulating, right? So a lot happens it's not just the trusting actually, because some men just get to trust and ejaculate and they know that they haven't reached orgasm, because it's two different things for men, to have an orgasm and to have an ejaculation. Because what you hear most of the time is a man has sex and he wants to ejaculate. No, I have had men tell me in my practice that I only sleep with my wife because I want to ejaculate.
Wow.
So I asked them, so do you really enjoy the act? They don't, because orgasm is not happening. Orgasm is different from ejaculation, right? Because the orgasm is actually the climax, is the height of pleasure for the man, though it's very close to, the time you want to ejaculate, but it's different, right? So it varies again to individuals, but study says that between 4 to 6 minutes, a great sex should happen. But on that spectrum are different activities. You are touching, you are kissing, you are caressing, you are looking in each other high, you are having conversations, you are getting romantic, your bodies are connecting, you are sweating, you are feeling each other. And eventually, that leads to a smooth sexual experience.
Yeah, awesome. Deji, I'd like to ask, why do people struggle with initiating sex? Why is it hard work? I mean, we're in love, right? So why doesn't it flow naturally?
I think I will still go back into our backgrounds, our society in Africa, and the homes most of us came from. Sexual education, for example, for me, it's a must for parents to be able to let their children know what is appropriate at each age level, and to be able to be comfortable with discussing that. sex is a very important personal part of our lives, in the sense that you look at it from the perspective of, am I able to even communicate what I want? Do I know what I want? What should it be? I'd like to tell anybody listening or watching this that you are supposed to think about your partner, your relationship, not what people are saying. You are not married to the people. You are not with the people. You are not with the stereotypes. You are not with what they are saying.
Yeah.
You are with a person. And you have to consider that person. Now, when sex is now attributed to the males desiring it and the women being receptive to it,
Enter there,
that
please.
plays on the psyche a little bit, that as a woman, I'm supposed to wait. Then the stereotype also goes to the other side, in the sense that if she now initiates it, at times it looks to some particular men that what is going on here?
Yeah.
Or what has she been doing? Has she been pretending? Is she, because when a guy is sexually liberal, he's a stud. When a woman is sexually liberal, she's a slut.
She's a bad person. Where did she learn it
She's
from?
a whore.
She's a prostitute. So you've been doing this thing before.
Yeah.
That thing. So that is now playing, because it's a very religious society, it plays on a lot of women's minds to be careful how they exhibit their wants and their needs. That's on the one part. On the second part of it, there could be some things in the histories. There could be abuse, molestation, something that's done wrong to them that makes them vilify sex. They might not really be tuned into it. Then we keep on forgetting about our everyday lives. We have a lot of challenges. Professional, personal, interpersonal, with the neighbors,
Going
the
to work
traffic
and coming
in
back
Lagos,
alone is a lot, especially here in Lagos.
your boss,
Like,
it's so many things that we tell. And in all of this, because probably of our selfish natures, we tend to forget that we might actually be our partner's stressor or aggressor. We forget that small part that, okay, I once talked to a couple that, as she said, when her husband wants to have sex with her, he just says, come. And she's like,
Come
your
and
clothes.
come.
I'm not a sex slave in
Come
this
and come.
house. In this come and come. In this
Okay, come and
relationship.
come.
Yeah. Beautiful play on words.
Wow.
So he says come. And the woman felt cheapened by that beckoning and said, oh, why couldn't you just
Be more
come,
endearing.
sit down with me, be
Something.
more endearing,
Yeah.
whisper things, talk to me, and so on. And the next thing was that he flared up and said, so you are rejecting me. Now, that is going to stay in that woman's mind.
Yeah.
Do you think she's really going to initiate again? Or try to, after that browbeating from the person who supposedly loves her?
Yeah.
So, sex itself can also, because I have had this experience with a lot of people I've spoken to. You think they know, but really we don't know.
Yeah.
I've had people describe love and they were like, when you love someone. I was like, no, you can't use the definition in the word.
Yeah.
And I define it. So what is sex in itself? It is not only penetrative.
Yeah.
When you kiss someone, that is sex. When you fondle someone in a particular way,
It comes in a package.
Yes.
all those things that we are calling foreplay is sex. Just because it's not penetrative doesn't mean that it is not sex.
Sex.
It all builds into that. And so many couples have been able to have orgasms without penetrative
Penetrative
sex.
sex. Absolutely.
That is just the simple truth. So what we call sex is a series
Yeah.
of
Layers
many
upon layers.
impulses and common, and it starts where people don't think it starts. Communication.
Yeah.
I was going to go there to
Right.
say, please, man to man,
Right.
But
how
you need
should
to
you?
listen.
Yeah.
It starts with communication. People say, oh, there are personality types. I am what I am, and so on. Love languages, those things are there to have the type. No. There are two particular love languages that are inevitable for a couple. And it is words of affirmation and touch. If you cannot speak very well or communicate very well
with your partner.
How does your partner even agree with you? Most of those things, like the question says that why are they not initiating why they're not having sex with me?
Yeah.
It has to do with communication.
Yep.
You have to be in touch with them. If you came into the room a few minutes ago and assaulted somebody physically, then you need their favor or something from them in another period of time, they will most likely not answer you.
Yeah.
So you are not going to browbeat your partner, speak to them harshly, treat them badly, then all of a sudden pull them to you.
Right.
They would reject you.
Right.
They weren't rejecting you because of they were rejecting sex or rejecting you as a person. They were rejecting you because you are both not in a good place. So the first thing to having sex is being in a place of connection with your partner.
I agree with
all
you.
times.
I agree with you, Deji.
And the second one is touch. I've spoken to a lot of parents and say, look, maybe you don't believe in public display of affection.
That's another one.
For the sake of legacy and tomorrow, and for the sake of sexual orientation, do some PDA controlled ones in your home. Let your children get used to that. Mom hugs dad.
Please let them see
Dad
some form of affection.
Yeah, mom.
They are sitting down together, holding hands, watching a TV.
What kind of kiss, please? So that we're not convinced.
You already said it.
What kind of kiss?
A light kiss on the lips is fine.
Okay.
They know my children always say yuck all the time.
That you guys have started.
And I tell them that yes, you will grow to that stage and it won't be yuck. But for now, it is rightly yuck to you. But the thing is that it stays in their minds. This is how my mother reacts to my father. This is how my father reacts to my mother. And even them, I touch them too. We hug all the time. We high five. Non-sexual churches. You need to get used to it, because if you are low on touch, how do you have sex?
Yeah, I agree with you, because having worked with quite a number of, married couples, women will tell me why I'm not having sex with my husband is because we don't feel close. I don't feel a sense of closeness, intimacy, friendship with him. So I feel like an object.
Yeah.
He only shows up, he comes around when he wants sex. So when something happens to the closeness, certainly it would affect the sexual intimacy. So friendship, intimacy, emotional connection is actually very essential for a couple to have a great sexual experience all the time.
Not just when you want to have. In fact, those who are saying that we're not having enough sex, we're not. Make sure the conditions are right. There's emotional intimacy. That is, you can be vulnerable without a problem. There's physical intimacy. You hold hands, you hug, take strolls with each other. There is experiential intimacy. Why do people think that after dates, the sex is always so good? It's because of the moments before something happened that was good. That they enjoyed. That is why that happens.
And that's also a foreplay kind of stimulating your emotions and
because
arousing you already.
The biggest sexual organ in the body is the mind.
Right.
So if you can tune the mind from the morning with a good wish, good morning, babe. I wish you a wonderful day ahead. Around 10:58 a.m., just a text will say, I'm thinking of you, you're on my mind. And afternoon, when we are
so
already...
the conversation that Deji is having now is now looking like...
I'm telling them what they need to do.
Yeah, it's great because you're coming from the perspective of speaking especially to the man. And then you made a comment then to also say some women tell you my husband did this and that, and so we are disconnected. And I want to touch on that. Where is the place of the wife? What is her responsibility? Is she to leave it to the man alone? So let's say he didn't even do all of that connection, initiates, what should the wife do?
So I tell women, you have to fight for your orgasm. Because as a matter of fact, no man can get you to that point. You have a responsibility for your pleasure. You have to act it, know it, hone it, deliver it, and receive it.
Please.
Right? So
answer that subject very well. Say it. Say it. Yes.
So as a woman, you have to fight for your orgasm. Your orgasm is yours. You own it. You need it. You need to understand that you need the pleasure.
Yeah.
So it's not just waiting for the man to get you to that climax. No, you are an essential part of that relationship. Yeah, because you need to know yourself, know your body, know what works for you to even be able to relay this with your husband or your partner, right? So what role does the woman play? You have to open it up. You start with a conversation, just like, Deji earlier mentioned.
Yeah.
We have to talk about these things. Something is happening to your sexual life, and you kind of know, okay, I think I want to spice up things. It's getting boring. It's been a long time. I once taught a man during our session how to suck and fondle his wife's breast, because the wife's complaint is, I'm not enjoying sex. You don't touch me the way I want. The man is like, how do I want to touch you? I'm sucking this. I said, okay, see, this is pure water. Oh yeah, open it. Let's even do a bit of experiment.
I wish it was pure water here now.
The way the guy carried the pure water over, I say, my bros,
Don't destroy the thing.
But I actually did that to actually set a good, environment so we could get into the conversation. But she was pinned to the fact that anytime she thinks about getting intimate with her husband, she's not thinking of pleasure. It's more painful. So she has learned to associate pain with this.
She's not going to want to.
Yeah.
So that was actually what brought them into couple therapy. And the husband on the other side feels, I'm trying. I'm doing enough. I'm doing. So we had to open it up. So there were several things she hasn't even told the husband that she now had to open up about. That I don't like the way you touch me. I don't like the way you suck me. I don't like the... And those are conversations couples should have.
And they shy away from me.
Because the sexual experience is not going to get better if you don't address those issues. And someone thinks, I'm doing the best. I'm the best guy. I can bang. I can do man and say, hey, it is well. It's not reaching anywhere.
You forget we are all not the same. That's why these conversations must happen.
Yeah.
We are all not the same. What you were with that person necessarily is not what you're going to be with this person. That's why I advise exploratory sex. I don't think most people know exactly what they want, because I feel it's only when you know what you want that you can show it to somebody else.
Deji, for those who don't know, please, what is exploratory sex?
Okay. Exploratory sex is a conversation had before sex and during the first sex that you are having to know about your bodies. And if you don't know them, you cannot communicate it to another person. This is how I want this done. I love this way. I love that way. If you touch me here, touch me there, this particular way.
How many people are going to be willing to do this?
We have to.
People have to.
You have to.
Even with my own wife.
Yes.
At times, I am on this breast, and she's like, you're a pansy, bro. Step it up. And let me feel
more.
Then at times she's like, I'm feeling tender. No, just rub it this particular way. Just stop this particular way. And I'm like, oh, fine. You have to communicate.
Right.
It is not a taboo.
Yeah.
It is not. In marriage, that is the legal time that you are. You can have sex with anybody.
So Deji, you can have that conversation because you can pay attention to your wife.
You have to pay attention to each
and
other.
you can listen.
Yeah.
You can take the
Attention to each
feedback.
other.
Some men can't, and that's why some women would rather not talk about it.
That is no bashing. I'm not.
Yes, I said some.
I'll talk to everybody.
I said some.
Yeah.
I'll talk to males.
Because I talk to male, I talk to females.
Yeah.
But
Right?
you are kind of right.
But it got both ways,
It's that
actually.
society. It's this
But you
standard
hear
of
more
society.
women say, I've spoken to my husband about this.
And it won't budge.
He won't budge. He won't bother. He won't pay attention. He won't change. And sometimes he sees it even as an attack on him. So then I want to know how you are also communicating this.
Okay.
Because whatever it is you want to share with your partner, you also have to be mindful of their ego, because it's very sensitive. So how you also communicate it matters. You don't want to tell them they're not doing it well and then you demean them, you make them feel so bad.
You want to soften
the conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're having an amazing time.
Oh,
We're going to go on a short break and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Family Life Podcast. I'm sure you're enjoying this conversation like I am. I'm interested to know how Katie taught a man how to suck breasts.
You don't want to know.
I've been thinking about pure water differently from
Oh my God, no. But on a serious note, there are so many couples in a place where they've not had sex for months.
Yes.
One person feels like, see, I have done everything that I know to do and I have given up. If we were to help such a spouse, how can they initiate this process again?
Right. So, sex is an essential part of a healthy relationship. Once a week, once a month, once a quarter, as long as the two people in the relationship feel they are okay with the frequency of sex that they engage in,
Yeah.
as long as the two of them feel it's fine. But the moment one person feels it's not enough, it's not really passionate,
Yeah.
it's not enjoyable, I'm looking forward to more, then there has to be a conversation. So for a couple like that, the first thing they need to do is to sit down and talk about this. We need to address it. You don't want to keep thinking about it in your head, and then you are worried, you are anxious, you are angry, and time is going. Yeah, I've counseled couple doing couple therapy who have not had sex for a year, 2 years, 3 years. Yeah, for some of them there are serious, medical issues. For some other, from shame. Shame and rejection. Shame in the sense that maybe they are struggling with erectile dysfunction. They can't get it up, they can't sustain it, and so it's already affecting their esteem, and so they rather not want to do sex because it's not going to eventually be very fulfilling for my partner. So the shame, the rejection they have to deal with. And for some, it's just because of their, the changes in their body. For some women, actually, after childbirth, I've had women tell me, it's been 6 months, but I can't just get myself naked to have. So we need to talk about this and then seek help. Because talking about it can give you the information of what's happening, but you may not actually have the right tools, right, to then resolve the problem. But if the both of you come to an agreement of something is happening to our sexual relationship and we need to fix this, so who do you talk to? Speak to a therapist, speak to a coach. So when you were asking that, how did I get to help him, man? Yeah, it's what we do. Is what we do, is the work we do. We have toys, we have several things in our facility. It's our work.
Yeah, and that's one of the benefits of what we're doing here, because we have trained professionals, people who can sit down with you and actually hold your hand. Gone are the days where we keep our marital issues to ourselves and we die there. That saying, don't bring a third party into your marriage and all that stuff. I like that we have opportunities now that we can tap into and get the help that we need.
Absolutely.
Did you have a question for you?
Yes, please.
Couples that just got married, they are virgins. They don't know how to navigate their way through. They are looking for sexual compatibility, but it's looking like we are not on the same page, especially because we did not try it before. How can that couple navigate through such season?
Okay. I would like them to see themselves as Adam and Eve. And I have a reason for saying I want them to see themselves as Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve had nowhere to turn to. There was a society to say, this is how it's done. This is the right thing. There's no porn to look like you are failing to. There was nothing comparative.
Comparison, yeah.
And I think that is the beauty of marriage when it's done that particular way. That innocence, because marriage, in sexual terms too, is a journey. You are going to first try out with what feels good. But one thing you don't know is that what will feel right. How did Adam know how to? How did Eve know how to? It's there in your body. You have to listen to that. And the way to listen to that is to be deeply connected. There will be conversations. There will be intimacies. There will be touches. There will be activities. From those things, you have to go on to exploratory sex. What feels good? And this is where we can help out. She can help out, I can help out. The professionals that can do this. If you have a headache, for example, there is a physician, a regular doctor to see, and there is also a veterinary doctor. But the veterinary doctor attends to animals. You won't go and see him. You will still go to the physician because he attends to your own physiology, an analogy to deal with. That is what professionals are there for. Anything outside my scope, so as not to get the wrong information or get the wrong idea, I always go to the right professional to do that. And it is not always about the cost or as expensive as people think. People are doing so many things because of what they heard. But then it's different. That's why this channel is posturing as an official channel for anything family life. So what you do is you go to a sex coach. That is the only thing to do, really, because you don't know your way around it. They don't have to be with you all of the way, but then they will help you with strategies, guidelines, and what to do at the beginning that you are going to improve on. How you are going to feel about sex or be skilled in sex in the first few months. Obviously, it's not going to be
on the first night.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what's
So
nice.
I like when
Take your
Deji
time.
said that the ability to know what to do is actually innate.
It's inborn.
It's innate. It's there.
It's in us
You are not
already.
going to see a naked woman's body and you want to. What do you want to do with it? You want to grab it. You want to touch.
Yeah.
It's there.
It's there.
Right?
Yeah.
So don't be anxious because sometimes I haven't worked with people like that as well, virgins, and this is also the part where we can say the importance of premarital counseling.
Yes.
A proper premarital coach, because one of the modules the coach will have taken you through is sex in marriage, and the person will have asked, so you are a virgin, you've not had sex, so how much of physical contact have you shared? What do you know? What are you aware of? So the moment you trust your ability, trust your superpowers, trust your sexual energy, trust the fact that this thing is in you, right? And then let it go. Exploring sex means just submit and subject your body to your partner. This is my body, so let's begin to explore. I realize that, when I touch the back of her neck, it tickles. When I touch in between her thighs, there's a stimulation. When I rub his butt, it goes gaga. So that's part of you beginning to understand your partner's body. So, but don't be anxious. Don't say, anxiety performance is what we call it. No, just come in, explore, enjoy. Don't have so much expectations. But when you now go on that journey and you begin to feel a bit of pressure, you're not enjoying it, like you rightly said, seek a coach, talk to a therapist.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
A question is coming
Before
to
we
mind.
go,
Okay, Deji.
I have to add two things to it. The first thing is knowledge. Every knowledge on earth is learned. Nobody brought anything from heaven.
Yeah.
The explanation of assuming that your spouse knows what to do because he's a male, it's not working and it's not going to work for you. And secondly, you can't afford to compare. Love or sex is according to the two people involved in it. This is very important because a lot of money has been decided by the sex market.
A lot.
If you look at life, money is made also where there are insecurities. That's why weight loss does well. That's why beauty market does well. Same thing with sex. You are using drugs you shouldn't be using. You are adding a lot of stress to your kidneys. You are putting too much expectations on yourself. You are going to eventually enjoy yourself. You are going to eventually get used to that particular drug in your system.
Yeah.
And to impress their partners, a lot of things have happened.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go to them now.
Oh yes. Right now you have younger guys in their 20s who are already on Viagra, and it's bad. It's terrible. We see them in sessions. They are already having serious penial, problems.
So when you are thinking that 3 hours is the way to go, no, it's not. Consent is all that it is. Have a discussion with your partner. This is what I can afford.
Yeah.
Then compromise. Safety, long life.
If you know how to do it well, 40 seconds is a long time.
It's a long time. If you know your partner's body,
yes,
it is a very, very long
time. Yeah.
And it stays in there. That's the point of dopamine and oxytocin release. Dopamine is the happiness center, oxytocin is the reward center. When you take recreational drugs, it's the same high that you're getting.
Yeah.
But this one can be sourced naturally in your body. That's why I said, if you can, 2 to 3 times a week is not bad. That is why at times you have sex and the colors are more vivid. And you don't get angry. And you don't get angry.
You're not irritable.
You will just see some people that walk in a particular day, they are glowing. Somebody stepped on them, they're like,
It's all right.
Okay.
All right.
And you're like, oh, can you help me do this? And you're like, they will refuse. And he says, oh, do you want anything more from me?
There is action.
They've had their dose.
Oh, goodness.
Got some. That is what it is. That's why we said, if you can do that 2 to 3 times a week, it will cover up for a lot of things in your relationship and make sure that you are in the right frame of mind, both physically, emotionally, and the family life is going to be awesome.
Wow, thank you
from me.
so
That's why we
much.
are happy here.
Wow. Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up now, but there's something Katie has said that's been ringing in my head.
Yeah.
Women should take responsibility for their orgasm. I feel like we have many women who see sex as something to give rather than to receive. So let me just do it so that he will not go out, so that he'll be fine. How can women begin to change that mindset so that they begin to see sex as something they need for themselves, and then put themselves in the place where they are also taking responsibility for their orgasm?
Right. So thank you very much, Mrs. Sparkles. Sex is a gift from God. Sex is beautiful. Sex is pleasurable. And I believe as women, we are actually pleasure ourselves. And that's why we are very essential in a man's life. Yeah? So, and as a woman, a man's life is not, how do you want to do it? With all that we are bringing on. And Deji has something to say. But,
Well,
you know.
let's go on.
So I usually start with telling a woman to appreciate herself. Know that you are pleasure, you deserve pleasure, and you are also built to give pleasure. Right? So this will vary because people have different situations, different relationship challenges, right? Because there is really no way we can talk about a woman really enjoying and giving pleasure without looking at the context, without looking at the environment of that relationship. Working with women, you will realize that some of them are actually, they've been stifled because of the environment of their relationship. They are not finding the full expression of much of what they want to give, because you see that the guy is, several things happening in the relationship. Yeah. So, but the thing will still be, like I said earlier, seeking help. Get the support that you need. But when it comes to you fighting for your orgasm, don't leave it to the man alone. You know your body. You can direct his hand, direct his mouth, direct whatever it is you want to direct to pleasure you. Don't say, oh, because it's not doing it well. No, you can roll, you can twist, you can have conversations because you know your body. So it starts with you knowing yourself, understanding your those spots, your erotic part, your erogenous part, knowing that when my husband does this, it gets me really stimulated. This gives me a lot of excitement. This gives me a lot of stimulation. So you must know. So when you know and you are in the act of sex, you also bring on your game. You are not just there like, just do and finish and get out. Because at the end of the day, you need the pleasure. You need the pleasure, you need the excitement, you need the sex. You really do, girl, you do. So don't just leave it all to the guy. Because like Deji earlier said, sometimes, there is this stereotype that is the guy that should know. I have met men in session who know jack about sex. The only thing they are aware of is get it up, have an erection, and then you are thrusting. No, but it's much more than that.
Yeah.
You can be thrusting and you are not hitting on the right spots. The woman is still not going to have pleasure. And you are sweating. You are like, hey, I'm on this thing, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But, God. Because the woman is like, I just finished. And let us rest. I'll be going.
Let there be peace.
So, ladies, go get your orgasm.
Wow.
You deserve it.
You deserve it.
I want to add a balance to what she just said.
Okay, balance it to us.
For the ones that feel that their partners are not or open to trouser-friendly kisses or skirt-friendly kisses, I would say do not continue to outsource. I'm using these particular wordings for particular reasons. Don't outsource. The thing is, if you outsource, you get your satisfaction, but it's going to be at the risk of someone else, because once you're satisfied, sex works that way. You really don't need extra. So that means your wife or your husband isn't getting some when you satisfy yourself on the outside.
Right.
Now, what you don't know is that on the outside, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Most of the time, you are paying something to be able to get something, which means that what you are doing really is duplicating, but not just duplicating. You are paying for a particular service. So, as we have most of the times with the men, they are paying some girl to be able to stimulate or simulate a girlfriend experience. So they just receive, they get all the touches, all of that, without giving any to the lady.
Right.
But that's because you're paying for it. But you already have a wonderful person at home who is untapped because you are not open to discussing what or how good it can be between both of you. So I would say you can stop outsourcing.
Right, and
you
fix
have
the relationship
a mind at home.
Yeah.
Fix the relationship, and you get all these things for free.
Wow.
Fantastic. I
And it's
agree.
even a good financial note for this time.
Oh yes,
Remember,
oh yes,
spend it.
oh yes,
Wow.
oh yes. I was
Spend it
working
in two-
working with a guy
Wow.
recently.
Spend
He has saved about 2.5 million in a month because we had to redirect his affection back home.
Yeah.
That all this
You
outsourcing.
calculated it with them. Thank you.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I did with the client. That how much do you spend at
Yeah,
home, sir? You told
yeah,
me. Okay,
2.5
on
in about 5 weeks.
your outsourcing point. How much do you spend? No, we got it on. I'm like,
Yeah.
What was that? Yes, sir. You spend that much
Yeah, yeah,
just to have a great feeling that
Yeah.
it's already available. To
yeah,
you.
available at home.
And
So
at
let's
the same
go
time
back.
starving your
Partner.
own partner,
Breaking your
making them feel
marriage, causing
Yeah.
problem in your home.
Yeah, and there are several things it exposes you to. That time will not permit us to go
to go
into.
into.
right?
So, please.
I'm
So-
sure your eyes are popping and you're so excited like I am. It's been an amazing time. Thank you so much. Thank you,
welcome.
Deji.
Thank you so much,
Kemi.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
I'm
you.
definitely
Mrs.
having
Sparkles.
both of you back on here because there's so many angles to this conversation. Sex is an issue that many couples shy away from, don't talk about. And I hope that from this session, you have learned one or two things that you're going to implement. Remember, we have a lineup of amazing trained professionals that you can reach out to anytime to get help from. If you have not subscribed by now, I wonder what you're waiting for because the next episode is going to be banging, bigger, and better. Until next time, it's the Family Life Podcast. Have a nice day. Bye.